Hello, good morning dear children. Let us start. Previous classes, what and all we studied, that just we can go through PPT. Okay. Lessons name, determination of income and employment. See, first what we studied, our concept, main concept is equilibrium level of income. Equilibrium level of income. For that, first we studied total expenditure. First we studied total expenditure. One second, okay. Total expenditure, that is aggregate demand. Then when economy is in equilibrium, aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply. After this we will study this topic. So this part we completed. Then already in national income lesson we studied value addition generates level of income. That is why national income identical to aggregate supply. Okay, value addition generates level of income. That is why national income identical to aggregate supply. You can note it down all these points. Thank you. Okay, you have to note it down like this. Equilibrium level of income. GDP is equal to total expenditure. Aggregate supply, simply if we need we can say level of GDP. This also level of GDP. Both concepts level of GDP. This what the consumer wish, what the producer wish to produce, that is aggregate supply. Aggregate demand shows what the consumer wish to purchase. Once more, both concept are GDP, the level of GDP. Okay, both the concept are the level of GDP, that AS and AD are level of GDP. That here the producer wish to produce, that shows AS. Then what is aggregate demand? Instead of producer you can use here consumer. Here level of GDP which consumer wish to buy. I think you know why I use the word wish, because this is ex ante expenditure. Here also ex ante supply. It never express exposed. Okay. Then value addition generates level of income. That's why national income is identical to aggregate supply. So aggregate supply is identical to level of income. Here also we can use AS is equal to GDP, or total level of output, or total level of employment. This is equilibrium level of income. This part later we will study detail. Okay, this portion we already completed. Clear? Next, two theories are there. One is full employment equilibrium, another is underemployment equilibrium. Full employment equilibrium, classical concept. According to classical economists, economy should be at full employment level. So what shows full employment? Full employment is a situation in which everyone who wants to work is working, except those who are frictionally and structurally unemployed. I think that also you studied, you have that, what is that? Okay. Here, these two are exceptional cases, frictional unemployment and structural unemployment. In a situation of full employment, there can be some kind of unemployment, that is natural rate of unemployment. So these two we can consider as natural rate of unemployment. Natural rate of unemployment classified into frictional unemployment and structural unemployment. So here you are getting one definition for full employment. Full employment is a situation in which everyone who wants to work is working, except for those who are frictionally and structurally unemployed. That means there exists some natural rate of unemployment. That natural rate of unemployment consists frictional unemployment and structural unemployment. Okay. Full employment. Demand for labor is equal to supply of labor. That is full employment. Then here you can note it down what is natural rate of unemployment. Natural rate of unemployment. It refers to unemployment which is bound to exist even when labor in a state of equilibrium, it occurs largely due to, these are the reasons: time required in shifting from one job to another, then time needed in adjusting to changes in technology, maybe labor technology or capital. Okay, what is frictional unemployment? Frictional unemployment is the unemployment associated with the changing of jobs in dynamic economy. It arises due to, these are the reasons: immobility of labor, shortage of raw material, lack of information regarding opportunities of employment, shortage of power, wear and tear of machines, tendency of the workers to move from one job to other, search of remunerative job. Because of these reasons, what is happening? Frictional unemployment. Frictional unemployment arises due to immobility of labor, shortage of raw material, lack of information regarding job opportunities, then shortage of power, depreciation, tendency of workers from here to there, from rural to urban area, like that and all, then search of high salary remunerative job. That's then structural unemployment. Next, unemployment, structural unemployment. It is the unemployment that results from the long-term decline of certain industries. Okay, I think you are noting. It is associated with the structural changes in the economy. Structural changes, because see reasons, when other factors of production like capital, land, that and all shortage, means unemployment can happen. When laborers are trained in old and decaying industries, that and all ill-equipped for emerging industries. Best example we can take newspaper industry. When there is change in the production technique, that time also unemployment can happen. So you can note it like this. Full employment does not mean zero level of unemployment. There exists some natural rate of unemployment. What is natural rate of unemployment? Unemployment which is bound to exist even when labor in a state of equilibrium. It occurs largely due to time needed in shifting from one job to another and adjusting their means whatever and all their technology, labor technology or capital technology. Then under the natural rate of unemployment classification, frictional unemployment and structural unemployment. Okay. Then another type of unemployment, this is very important for definition, voluntary and involuntary unemployment. Voluntary unemployment refers to the situation when person is unemployed because he is not willing to do work at the existing wage rate even when work is available. One example is there. See, if the market wage rate for doctor's job in the hospital is rupees 10,000 a month, but some of the qualified doctors refuse to accept job at rupees 10,000, they will be considered as voluntary unemployed. Such type of unemployment is not included in estimation of total unemployment in the country. They don't want, that is why they are remaining as unemployed. That's why these and all not considered as unemployment. While estimating unemployment, this type of means voluntary unemployment is not included. But involuntary unemployment that considered in the estimation of total unemployment in the economy. What is involuntary unemployment? Involuntary unemployment is a compulsion to remain unemployed because jobs are not available in the market. They are ready to work, but there is no job, although persons are willing to work at the prevailing wage rate. Okay, what is involuntary? They are ready to do work, but they are not getting any job at the prevailing. Here, they are not willing. They are not willing to do work. That is voluntary. Involuntary means things like this. They are involving there, but they are not getting any job. So, for definition, voluntary unemployment and involuntary unemployment is very important. Okay. So, full employment, once more, full employment, there is some frictional unemployment and structural unemployment is there. These two together known as natural rate of unemployment. What is natural rate of unemployment? Even when labor in a state of equilibrium, they need time to shift from one job to other. That time gap, they remain unemployed. Then while adjusting technology, that time also they remain unemployed. That is natural rate of unemployment. And that consists frictional unemployment and structural unemployment. Okay, then another type of unemployment, voluntary and involuntary unemployment. Involuntary unemployment is considered in the estimation of total unemployment in the country. But voluntary unemployment is not considered in the estimation of unemployment in the economy. Okay. Then come back to the classical theory. According to them, economy should be at full employment level. The fundamental principle of classical theory is the economy is self-regulating by forces of demand and supply. They can regulate the economy. Classical economists maintain that the economy is always capable of achieving the natural level of real GDP or output, which is the level of real GDP that is obtained when the economy's resources are fully employed. So demand for labor is equal to supply of labor, according to classical theory. Okay. Say's law, JB Say, he propounded a law, that is Say's law. In classical economics, Say's law, that is the law of markets. Market shows labor and capital. The law of markets is the claim that the production of a product creates demand for another product. So production creates demand. That we study like this: supply creates its own demand. This is Say's law. Production of a product creates demand for another product by providing something of value which can be exchanged for that other product. So production is source of demand. According to classical theory, production is the source of demand. Whatever is produced, that is demanded. That is according to classical theory. That Say's law says like this: demand, supply creates its own demand. Okay. This and all, a classical economist. Adam Smith, he is known as father of economics. Then Karl Marx, Alfred Marshall, J.B. Say, David Ricardo. J.B. Say, Say's law, David Ricardo. These and all some classical economists. If you need, you can write their names. Some classical economists, you should know who and all they are. Okay, Karl Marx, Alfred Marshall, Adam Smith, J.B. Say, and David Ricardo. Okay, then a revolutionary change happened in our economy. Who came? Keynes. J.M. Keynes, John Maynard Keynes. He was a British economist whose ideas fundamentally changed the theory and practice of macroeconomics and economic policies of governments. He considered as the founder of modern macroeconomics. That is why he is known as father of modern macroeconomics. The founder of modern macroeconomics. His ideas are the basis for the school of thought known as Keynesian economics. This is our syllabus. We have to study this topic. We are studying underemployment equilibrium. According to him, economy should be at less than equilibrium level. Not full employment level. Economy is getting equilibrium at underemployment level. Keynesian theory is named after the publication of his book, The General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money, that published in 1936. Okay. J.M. Keynes was British economist whose ideas fundamentally changed the theory and practice of macroeconomics and the economic policies of governments Then he is known as father of macroeconomics. His book General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money, published in 1936. We are studying Keynesian theory. According to him, when economy reach its equilibrium before full employment level. You can note it down this one, comparison between classical and Keynesian theories. See, classical economists held that there is always full employment in the economy. First point. There is always full employment in the economy. See here Keynes, that full employment is an ideal and unrealistic situation, and underemployment is a normal situation. So first point, classical economist, according to classical theory, full employment is there. Here underemployment. Okay. Second point, classical economists believe that supply creates its own demand. Production is equal to consumption, or demand for labor is equal to supply of labor is equal to demand for labor. Anyway, Keynes believed that demand creates its own supply. Third point, it is based on assumption of flexible wages and prices. At any time wages can be rise or fall. It is rigid wages and prices. If here classical, if unemployment is there, what is happening? That is temporary, that is voluntary unemployment. What is voluntary unemployment? People are not willing to do work. Here involuntary unemployment, they are not getting any job. These are the comparison we can take for classical and Keynesian theory. Classical economists held there is always full employment in the economy. Keynesian theory, there is underemployment is a normal situation. Then according to classical economist, supply creates its own demand. According to Keynesian theory, demand creates its own supply. Then based on the assumption, flexible wages and price, they are rigid wages and price. Here voluntary unemployment, then in Keynesian theory involuntary unemployment. So this is aggregate demand. You can write this definition for aggregate demand. So what you understood from here, aggregate demand refers the total demand for goods and services, or it does not refer demand for a particular commodity. Demand for all goods and services, that shows aggregate demand. Aggregate demand or total expenditure. See, this is the definition. It refers to the total value of final goods and services which all the sectors of an economy are planning to buy. So here important points: final goods and services. Next one, all the sectors of an economy are planning to buy. Planning means ex ante expenditure at a given level of income during a period of accounting year. So define aggregate demand means you can use this definition very easy. It refers to the total value of final goods and services which all the sectors of an economy are planning to buy at a given level of income during a period of accounting year. So, okay. Then So GDP of an economy total output shows from all the four sectors. We can take consumption expenditure, investment expenditure, government expenditure and net export. All these four expenditures together known as GDP. This from household sector, this from firm sector, this from government expenditure, this from external sector. Expenditure by all the sectors, that is GDP. GDP of an economy like this. If we consider all the consumers, we are getting what? AD. If we consider all the producer, we are getting AS. Understood? That is GDP. Both are both shows level of GDP only. If we consider all the consumers, that is expenditure side. If we consider all the producers, that is supply side. Okay. Then consumption function. Okay, consumption function C is equal to C dash plus MPCY. What is C dash? Autonomous consumption. MPC means slope of consumption curve and Y level of income. So this is consumption equation C dash plus BY. You should study like this, or we can write C dash plus, wherever B comes that is MPC only. So either you can use letter B or MPC, marginal propensity to consume. If we need to find out consumption expenditure, we need autonomous consumption, marginal propensity to consume and level of income. Okay. This is very important. Some features of average propensity to consume and marginal propensity to consume. What and all we studied, that you have to prepare like this. First we can write what is the formula for APC. APC is equal to C by Y. Total, the ratio between total consumption and total income, that is APC. Then at zero level of income, APC is equal to infinity. Zero level of income shows C by 0. What is the answer? Infinity. Okay. APC declines continuously as income rises. What is the reason behind that one? Consumers have the tendency, if income increases, consumption also increase but less than rise in income. They have tendency to save some amount. That is why APC declines continuously as income rises. Then APC can be more than 1. It occurs when consumption is more than income. For example, we can take C dash only. When consumption is more than income shows, if our income is 0, minimum level of consumption is there. That is C dash. So, answer we got infinity. Clear? So, APC can be more than 1. What is the reason? because of autonomous consumption, or maybe consumption is more than income. That's why we are getting APC is more than, the value of APC is more than 1. Okay, so at least these features you have to study. First you have to write what is the formula for APC, C by Y. Then at 0 level of income, what is the value of APC? Then APC declines continuously as income rises. APC can be more than 1. It occurs when consumption is more than income. Clear? These are the some main features we can take. Some of the features more are there. At least these you have to study. Then what about MPC? If you study this one very easily, you can take this also. We know both concept related to total consumption and total income, right? Here total income and total consumption and total income we are taking. Here additional consumption and additional income we are taking. So what is MPC? Delta C by delta Y. MPC remains same or constant throughout. Additional, whatever income increase that much. That's why MPC remains same or constant. We are assuming MPC remains constant. The value of MPC lies between 0 and 1. So we can say what is the minimum value of what is the minimum value of MPC? We can say 0. What is the maximum value of MPC? 1. The value of MPC lies between 0 and 1 because change in consumption is always less than change in income. We know the rate at which income increase should be greater than the rate at which consumption. That is the reason why the value of MPC lies between 0 and 1. The minimum value is 0 and the maximum value is 1. Then MPC cannot be more than 1. From where we are ready to consume from additional income only. That's why we can say MPC cannot be more than 1. This shows income. Okay. So what are the features we can take for MPC? First formula, MPC is equal to delta C by delta Y. Then throughout MPC remain constant. MPC is B. That is constant. The value of MPC lies between 0 and 1 because change in consumption is always less than change in income. What is the minimum value? Minimum value is 0 and maximum value is 1. Then MPC cannot be more than 1. These are the features. You have to be noted down all these features. Features of APC and features of MPC. Okay, note it down fast, please. I am going to wind up. This much you have to revise, then only you will get next topic. Okay. Then consumption function, graphical representation of consumption curve. Consumption curve starts from y-axis. Okay, you can prepare an imaginary schedule and diagram and send through our WhatsApp group. This is your homework. Okay, thank you.